Evans, MS.
With debate continuing about what to do to make the Red Hill and Lincoln Alexander Parkways safer and whether bad drivers should take more responsibility for their actions, we're joined now by four of the families, or three of the families, but four people who have lost loved ones over the last couple of years. Melissa and Susan Scholar's brother Michael died when his vehicle crossed the grass median into oncoming traffic just over a month ago. Trina Williams and Kim Hare are the mothers of Christine Williams and Aaron Hare, a young couple who died when their car also ended up in oncoming traffic after crossing the median. Welcome to City Matters, and of course our condolences. It's a very important subject, and it has many ramifications, and some of you are probably new to television, so thank you for doing this, because the message, I believe, is going to be a very powerful one. I want to know about the loved ones that you have lost. Susan and Melissa, tell us about Michael.
Michael was my son. He was a very kind, sweet young man who lost his life way too soon. Him and his girlfriend had just moved into an apartment in October, so they were just starting their life together. And it's over. I don't know what to do. Michael loves skateboarding, yeah. And you know, we've got a bench at the Caledonia Skate Park, and we're going to put in trees in Michael's memory.
Melissa, talk about Michael, and we were talking before the show. This isn't just about the individuals and your loss. They had a circle of friends, family, acquaintances, people they worked with. Now there's a void, there's a hole. Tell me a bit more about Michael.
I didn't know how many people he actually helped and how many lives he touched. But seeing all the people that were at his funeral, and all the things that I saw people writing on his wall, it just goes to show like how important he was. Yeah, how important he was to people.
Trina.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter was a tall, beautiful bombshell, 19, was into cosmetology. Her and Aaron were together for about 4 years. They were childhoods, or young sweethearts. They loved life. They did everything, concerts, the beach. They liked to do everything all the time. She would be an aunt now. And we miss her more than anything. She was a very classy, spitfire young woman that could have done some good, for sure. And she touched a lot of people. A lot of people really loved her.
And Kim.
Aaron liked to skateboard, joke around all the time, be like Yoda and speak backwards. If you were sad or mad or angry, he always changed it, put a smile on your face. It's hard. It's not fair.
If we could we do have pictures. I was going to say, let's zoom in on the sweaters. Yeah. So I should have brought a big box of tissues.
It's okay.
This is tough. So you've lost family members. You took it upon yourself because at a certain point you realize Michael's not the only one. And as I was, doing a little bit of research to see that over the past 5 years there have been 28 crossover collisions, with 4 of them resulting in death. That's a lot of crossover collisions, especially on the Red Hill. We know that there can be weather conditions. We know when they designed it in the first place that they found they had all kinds of flooding, so they've had to go back to the original design. It is moving thousands of people every day. It was crucial to the East Mountain development of Canada Bread and Maple Leaf and Navistar Stang. So we know its value. We also know that it's probably already overused. We're already slowing down. So there has been talk about widening, which leads me to, first toughie for you. You've written to the mayor. counselors have been responding to what you have written. Lay out for folks your reasoning regarding that letter, if you could. It's about safety. That's the bottom line.
I know speeding is an issue. I know distracted driving, people are texting. My issue is I want barriers to help with the crossovers. There's accidents all the time. It's the crossovers. Somebody hitting a barrier at 90 is hitting the barrier at 90. They're crossing over and hitting another car, that's a way bigger impact. That's my point. I want to help try to save other people. I know they're going to get hurt, broken leg, something's going to happen to them. But it's going to be less of an impact. Maybe they won't die, maybe something, like I said, broken leg, but it will help save other, I was hoping it would save other people after Michael, but unfortunately, that other boy died not even a month after Michael, so.
There's been far too much of it. Let me relate a personal story about guardrails. I'm in a head-on collision up north transporting a couch and on my way home, and I'm in a head-on collision. I'm able to walk away, but I have to climb out the back of my van, which is now totaled, and it's resting up against the opposite guardrail. So I can't get out that door. The guardrail saved me because below me was a ravine. Every major highway in Ontario is divided with safety barriers, be they guardrails or be they cement attached blocks, and I don't know the proper name. And yet here on the Link and on the Red Hill, on what people consider to be highways and not parkways, where we have a 90-kilometer-an-hour speed limit, we have yahoos who still want to do 120 and 130, not only in cars, but in trucks. And it can be very unsafe. So it leads to several issues, doesn't it? Policing. So earlier this week, the police chief, Eric Gert, was in our studios with Mike Fortune, and we asked about safety on the Link and on the Red Hill. If we could roll that now.
I know in the engineering, if you actually look along the Red Hill, there's many locations where they do in fact have barriers, some areas where they don't. And of course, I'm not a traffic engineer, so I do know that the engineering report has stated that it either meets or exceeds requirements. I get that piece, but it really is a combination of all those things. So City Traffic Department does study those things to say, do we need to adjust, do we need to add something? Should we put in rumble strips? Should we do whatever the engineering application is? They do that processing. We, of course, assess for, are there major things contributing, whether it's inattentive driving, impaired driving, excessive speed, aggressive lane changes. In some cases, we have fatalities involving medical conditions where the person either has a heart attack or some other medical condition while they're driving, which I'm sure they aren't anticipating either. And it's how do you safely pull over if in fact that happens, and will you actually be conscious to do so? That's another issue. And I mentioned intentional driving behavior as well, whether it's either to harm somebody or themselves. So it's a whole range of issues in terms of that. But the fundamental issue is drive to the conditions, drive to the speed, and drive to the traffic.
And there's our police chief, Eric Gert. I want to go down the row and get your response to what you heard from the chief.
Well, with Aaron, Christine, Jordan, Olivia, and now Michael, that's 3 drivers, 2 passengers. They were doing the speed limit. They weren't on their cell phones. They weren't under the influence of anything. They were just driving to work, go pick up a friend, go home. They weren't doing anything wrong, and it's just bizarre how 3 separate individuals can do the exact same thing. Unfortunately, with that grassy area, your car is no longer a car once you hit it. You become an airplane. Where are you going to brake? So when your car goes up and then over, you don't know where to go. At least with the barrier, the engine would take the impact, not a car hitting them. I truly believe barriers would save a lot of people. I understand people do racing and want to drive quick and stuff. They're not looking behind to see what they've done, the damage. I understand that. You're putting cameras up, sure, go ahead. Now the next accident, you're going to watch it? How's that going to make you feel? Come on. You know what you have to do. I'm not worried about 4 lanes right now. Just put barriers up first and then worry about expanding it. Let's try to save people. This is not, it's just wrong.
The expansion has been suggested for the Red Hill and the Link to go to 6 lanes. That report is off in the far distant future, and then council will have to chew on that and spend tens of millions of dollars. That's a decision, but it's down the road.
It's too late.
It's too late for all of those who have already passed. Your comment on what you heard from the chief.
I'm with Kim. Our kids, it was proven that they weren't doing any kind of distracted driving at all, and that was proven by the police. And I believe that if you can do whatever you want as far as changing the laws, making the speed limits lower, higher, tickets, cameras, whatever you want, it will still not stop people from driving like idiots. They will still do it. We just saw someone today. It will not stop them. It will not stop them from doing illegal things. It just won't. So all we're trying to say is, will it bring our kids back? Unfortunately, no. But we're just trying to stop, hopefully, the crossovers so people on the other side aren't affected as well, because we weren't the only ones affected. The people that were hit on the other side have also had their lives affected. So it's not just us, it's other people involved too. And you can do whatever you want to change the laws. People are not going to always abide by them. They're just not.
Enforcement. Do we need more enforcement?
Yes.
We keep hearing from some councillors that speed remains an issue. You mentioned distracted driving. It remains an issue. That requires more policing of those 2 highways. And yet the last chief said it would cost an awful lot. We'd have to move services from somewhere else in the city just to have a campaign against speed. Your thoughts?
It'd probably be a lot cheaper just to put up barriers. Instead of putting, like I believe it was Ferguson and Sam saying, you know, we're going to put more lighting up. Lighting has nothing to do with it.
It was
That's going to
daylight.
cost you a fortune of the engineering, as what he said, and to install it. Barriers, just slap them on those little wiggy waggy ones, whatever he called them, like you said.
Well,
I think it would
lighting.
work a lot better.
Yeah.
And we're even willing to, if we can, I don't know, we'll do it the nice way, you know. Do you want to do a petition, GoFundMe, a rally? We don't want to step on anybody's toes. We just don't want another family to go through what we're going through. It's not fair. They were all good kids. It's not, you know, the bad ones that are doing the speeding and cutting people off. Well, that's them. You know, you can take away their license and give them tickets and etc. But you know what? At the end of the day, they're going to hop back in the car and do the exact same thing because they don't care.
Have you received?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you're doing great. Have you received any word back from the mayor after your letter?
I did. I don't remember what it said, but I sent it back to the reporter from the Hamilton Spectator I was working with, and she is going to do a bigger article, including all the families, to get the word out there more. And his response, like, she's going to respond to it.
I believe last summer we learned, or it was in 2015, that there was a study done. The politicians are trying to listen to the concerns. Certainly since it opened, Red Hill has not been 100% perfectly engineered. So they've asked, how much would it cost? A consultant's firm came back and said, $5+ million for the link, $4+ million in total, over $10 million to do Red Hill and the link. $10 million.
Making them into statistics, putting a price tag on them. Put a price tag on your kids then. That's no.
Susan?
I agree. You know, these are our children that have passed. We can't bring them back, but how many more lives have to be lost before something is done? You can't put a price on someone's life. And it's a long term. The money that they spend would be for years and years. You know, you're looking at a lot of lives on that road that could be saved. It's
If you can, if each of you could look into this camera in particular and send a message to City Council, because we're hearing this, that, and everything else. If you could speak to Council directly, what would you say? Melissa, I want to start with you.
I've said it to them in all my emails that they need to look at the barriers at putting them up because, like they said, you can't put a price tag on somebody's life, and you need to know how much somebody's life is worth. Like I said, it's priceless, but you don't want to lose anybody else, and the barriers could help. Like I said, you're not going to stop the speeding. There is going to be accidents no matter what. You're not going to make this road 100% safe, but you can stop the crossovers, and you can stop possibly the deaths from happening.
Susan?
Well, I agree. I can't add much more to what Melissa said. There's, you know, people are going to speed. People will be distracted. Some people may be impaired. But whether you are in the wrong or not, you still have a right to be safe on that highway. And I think putting up the barriers will possibly save some lives, you know.
Trina?
Yeah, I just think, yeah, how much is your child's life worth? If it was your child or your family member, would you think differently?
And Kim?
Mr. Sam and Mr. Ferguson, if it was your child, you'd have the barriers up real fast. I know you would. Please help us.
Very difficult. You're very brave. Keep communicating with them. Do what you can. Today was an important step. You're sending a very important message to a lot of viewers of Cable 14, and I bet you there's some counselors sitting in their offices who are also viewing this today. Thank you for being so brave. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Susan and Melissa Scholler, Trina Williams, Kim Hare. If you'd like to weigh in from home about making these highways safer, send us a message on Twitter at City Matters TV or email us at citymatters@cable14.com. After the break, we turn our attention downtown where the city is hoping a pop-up park can satisfy residents upset with violence in their neighborhood.